freezing the first day of the season. Yeah, when it comes to retrieving old Duke's on his game. A John boat, a couple of mojos. Shoot, they gon' know that we don't play. Swampy feeling, some duck blind healing. High ball calling them old green heads back home. Keep your heads bowed, it's gonna get real loud when that 12 gauge choir sings out a holy song. Well, somebody say amen. Let's give 'em black water baptism.
Welcome to the Simmons Sporting Goods All Things Hunting Podcast, brought to you by Realtree Outdoors, Browning Firearms, and Browning Ammo. Here's your hosts, Caleb Wallace, Cole Barthel, and Kyle Bearfield.
Hi, we're all just jealous, Rusty.
Oh. Devin, how many guns did you sell
I'm
today?
betting if they sold 167 guns today, I bet I sold 160 of them.
Cole, how many did you sell?
I know for a fact Devin didn't sell.
I know it did because I sold 5 in 10 minutes. So.
I sold 10, 15.
I sold 2 crickets.
Me and Josh are over
And
there.
some guy bought a wicked wing.
I tell you
That's
this.
my boy, Josh. Sold a wicked wing?
I did.
That's what I'm talking
Wicked
I
about.
walk away. Anytime I get stuck by the ARs, you won't see me there but for about 10
That's
seconds.
how I
and
am.
then I'll walk
That's
to the
how I'm
other
with
end.
pistols. If pistol, I'm like, I don't.
Nobody asked
I
me
may have
the
shot a
question.
pistol
Better with
like 5
pistols than I am
times.
ARs
I never
now.
heard the same question twice.
Nobody asked me a question I was ever comfortable with once. A guy asked me for a A400 with a 30-inch barrel and
sold it.
Optifade timber. Yeah, and somehow I found it.
Shit, I got it.
30-inch barrel.
No, if somebody asks me something, I can typically drag them along enough to make it know what I'm thinking about. Them gun questions threw me
And
out.
I'm like, Josh, man, them binoculars, that's where it's at.
I specifically went down to in front of the optics
Right.
because these are 1200, these are 400. Here you go.
It's
felt
too
like-
close to the ARs.
But I
though.
kept getting AR questions. I had to leave.
Y'all kept walking back and forth. I felt like those guys on the sidelines on those bicycle riders and they hand them water.
Oh, yeah.
I felt like all I did all day was here goes the gun, here's some water. I don't know what I'm doing, but here I am.
Well, if y'all are listening to this and watching us on YouTube, welcome to the Simmons Sporting Goods All Things Hunting Podcast. This is episode 3. And if y'all are missing Caleb's beautiful face, for the ones that are watching, we didn't let him come to this one because as you hear us talking about guns, it is so crazy busy right now at Tent Sale. He's doing his real job. And we've all been kind of filling in today. Some of us very little, me, and some of us a lot, Cole and Devin. And we've all been slinging guns and selling guns, and it's wild. But we do have some new faces, some very special guests, and this podcast, for those of y'all that are watching and already see some you recognize, is going to be heavy about ducks. And me and Cole will try to put some deer in there too where we can, but this is going to be a Duck Hunters podcast, so y'all all get ready. I'll do a little introduction for myself. I'm Kyle Bearfield.
I'm Cole Barthel. What we got here, though, is usually this is not normal for this time of year, and I know for August right here, especially at Simmons, man, it's usually a tent sale, a lot of things going on outside, a lot of things for kids, food, all this, but with everything going on in the world right now, man, they've limited, shut it down. And man, we had Rusty come in from Arkansas. We were going to do a little bit of duck calling stuff outside with Devin, Rusty, all of them. And me and Josh are usually outside working with Bandit, Realtree, and everything going on there. But it's been a little bit different this year. And still been here. We'll be back here tax weekend in September as well. But it's just been different. But man, it's been crazy amounts of people here. But super glad to have Rusty and Devin and Josh on this podcast. Everybody kind of brings a little bit of something different with our jobs and what we got going on. But man, at the end of the day, I think we all have the same desires and passions, and just thankful we get to do what we get to do.
I'll let the fellas introduce themselves down here, but the only one that went duck hunting with me this year, he can start. That's Josh down there. And if you listen to episode 1, we talked about that Rusty and Devin were going to be a part of this. We actually talked about Josh being a part of this too, but we're going to get into why I never got to go hunting with Devin, and it's a little bit more of this, and he's probably hearing about me sky busting wood ducks. That's all I'm killing. All I hear about is him just smashing them in the mouth, and Same thing with Rusty. They crush them, but we'll go down the line and introduce these fellas that are here with us and kind of a little background on them.
I don't get to kill near as many ducks as Mr. Rusty down here, but we kill a few here in North Louisiana, South Arkansas. I'm Josh Beckham. I'm the territory manager for Bandit and Avery. I cover Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, and Oklahoma.
Louisiana, Oklahoma.
I forget about Oklahoma. There's got some
Everyone
good people
does.
good people up there, but they got good hunting. But one of my biggest stores right here is Simmons Sporting Goods, and they got a big tent sale going on. It's going good. It's been going on since Wednesday. It'll go on for another about 2.5 weeks.
We'll get in that a little bit later, going around states and different things. But me and Josh mentioned Oklahoma, and that's a hidden gem, but we'll get into that later. But Devin can go. That just came to mind, so we'll remember to talk about that.
Yeah, I'm Devin Singleton with Singleton Game Calls. Appreciate you guys having me. Live down the road, about an hour away from the store here, so this is one of my haunts. Love coming in here, find anything a man could possibly want or need.
Well, say the old man for last, I guess.
Last but not least.
My name's Rusty Creasey. I'm the manager / guide / cook at the Coca Cola Duck Woods up in northeast Arkansas. And glad to be here. It's the first time being down here, and this is a heck of a store. I'm talking about it. If you need it or want it, they got it. And thank y'all for having me. It's here on behalf of Real Tree, and do some stuff with Real Tree, little echo calls and frog talks. Just we all do a little something different, or we're a little different companies, but we all have the same passion.
Yeah.
So none of that other stuff matters. I think the hunting world would be a lot better off if we put all that other crap aside and just all be on one team instead of bashing each other on this deal. That's
No doubt.
There's a lot of that goes on, especially on social media. So if you can't say nothing nice, don't say nothing at all.
I agree with that totally. If y'all are recognizing Rusty and didn't know, and then now when he said his name and working with Echo Calls, I'm sure you watch them Echo DVDs in the timber that, whether it's been on YouTube, those footage or whatever, just smash mouthing them mallards in the face. That was him. That's the man.
Blessed to be part of it. Grew up on the place, Coca Cola Woods. Started in 1937, and they had an 18-year-old kid in the 50s. They couldn't. They'd run him off, and he'd be back a couple days later. And he was my uncle. They couldn't run him off, so they finally hired him. And he worked for them for 40 years, and he passed away in 2002. And I stepped in and been running it now for, golly, it's my 18th year. And like you said, man, the YouTube stuff just blew up, and the Echo, I mean, that old school stuff is still lots of people watch it today. And man, blessed to make a living doing something I love. Never work a day when it's, but I just love to hunt, love to chase them, and got mad respect for all you public hunters out there. I'll be the first to tell you how spoiled I am. I know I got it good, so kudos to all of y'all for getting up early and scouting and all the hard work that goes into that. That's awesome. So I do not take for granted, and never, always remember how thankful I am for what I got.
You've been a part of those busting for holes too before, though.
I have.
You know how good you got it.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
It's
Absolutely.
not like you hear it from other people. You've done that before, like we all have.
That's right. That's right. But don't think, yeah, I don't have to race nobody for a hole, but everything has its challenges. I'm faced with 10 to 12 guys a day who, that's the only 2 days they duck hunt.
Right.
They don't really, it's more of a social deal, which is fine. I mean, it gets everybody together. It's memories made, and it all revolves around a duck. But there's battles on private ground just like there is public. Now, I'm not gonna say it's as hard, but there's no guarantees.
That's right.
All wild
Go ahead,
at the end of the day. It's all wild duck at the
Oh,
end
it's
of
a
the
wild
day.
duck for
Yep.
sure. Tyler Merritt used to say he heard one moo at our place one time, but he said they were so tame that he heard one moo. I ain't buying that.
I want to talk about the first topic. I got 2 or 3 in my mind. I know everybody does, but this is something that, you hear us talk about the woods, and then you hear, I know Devin and Josh hunt the woods some, but me, Kyle, Devin, and Josh hunt together at times. Josh and Devin hunt together almost every day, but we all hunt together at times, and we hunt probably more fields than we don't. I don't public land it as much as we used to. Probably the same with y'all as well.
Same right here.
That's a young man's game. Hats off to
That,
Dr.
and
Duck
we all
for
got
hanging with
kids
it,
and
but-
we all got families, and it's
Just
tough.
Live a long ways from ducks. I mean, like I said, some of the best to get to the closest, and I mean, we can go into Crowdon and everything else whenever we want to, but to get to some of the, what I'd say reputable green tree reservoirs in the area, which there are some in this part of Louisiana. Most of them aren't controlled water. It has to do with backwater. But to get to some really good hunting in flooded green tree reservoir, 3.5 hours,
Right.
from my house. So chasing ducks, having kids, and, chasing them on public land. I've been there. I've done it. We did it for 50-something days, a couple years in a row. And, hey, you can't keep the house happy and do that.
No,
And it's not worth it.
I've
A duck's
had
not worth
numerous
it.
conversations with Josh about that it can be a struggle at the house.
Not even a struggle at the house, it's a struggle on your body. And
Yeah.
me and him had a bad episode driving down the road one time, and it could have easily cost us our life because we were chasing a duck from here to Missouri back and forth for about 20 days straight.
Yeah.
And driving all night, hunting all morning,
That 60-day grind.
to the next spot.
It don't matter
And-
public, private, or what. You
telling
put what you put your body through. I get up every morning 4:30. I'm stay there late, spend all day. There's something to do all day long.
And
Just the cold on your body and the wet and pulling water, walking through water, just getting your equipment ready for the next day, cleaning guns, working on duck calls, watering dogs, feeding dogs, airing dogs, eating like garbage.
Oh, gas station food.
we don't have a 5-star chef like
No.
Chef Rusty here. He claimed he was. So I mean, just eating junk.
Rusty's
it
a good
will.
cook, by the way. That's
It'll
what
wear
Devin
your
was
body
getting
down.
at.
It is rough, and I mean, there's guys that do it year in, year out. Now I'm telling you, they're that's why people kind of look at them different. They're kind of a mythological creature. The guys that can do it year in, year out. They're tough. They're tough. I will not take anything away from
And the
them.
reason we do it is because it's worth it when it all works out.
when it
That's
all
right.
pans out, it don't pan out all the time.
And it might only work one time
But
per
when
hunt.
it does, it's all worth it.
That's it.
You can go 10 days and not shoot many, and you can go that one day and see all you want to see and kill all
Get
you
up
want
and
to
keep
kill.
going
And
again.
it's all
That's
good.
it.
And that's
I'm
why we
telling
keep going back.
Let's talk about the food deal. Food's a big deal because I deer hunt a lot. I know all of us pretty much deer hunt a little bit. Even Josh deer hunts a little bit.
Just a
A
little,
little
just
bit.
a
But I know
little.
Devin deer
Not
hunts.
as many guns, I see.
And Rusty's a lot bigger deer hunter than you would think. I know he probably killed more deer than I know he killed more than I killed last year. But man, I love planting food plots for deer, and I do ducks as well. But I know what Josh and Devin they hunt. They've got a lease. They got a place they hunt together. We all hunt several different places, but their mainstay they put some time and effort into it. I know me and Kyle have, and I know what Rusty does. You see it more on social and different things, but. We can all talk about what we've done this year, and maybe Rusty, you kick it off, and then Devin and Josh can talk. Because I talk to Josh a lot about what he's done up there. And then we'll all talk about something different because it's all a little bit our mainstay. Sometimes where me and Kyle hunt as a family piece, and it's a kind of a flooded CRP piece, but it's got about 14 acres that we flood up and we plant something. So it's not like a flooded field that maybe they're hunting in or flooded timber that you're hunting in. But let's start just talking about food here.
Yeah, what can somebody
go
do
from
right
there.
now, possibly, or on their place in general, over time to help their duck hunting in the future?
This year especially, it has been a wet year, way wetter than normal, and it's July the 25th. So this late in the game, you're pretty much stuck with millet. Now, everybody looks, he's got this, he runs this big fancy duck club, and you got to have all this equipment. No. You can go look on all the social media this year, and you can see 95% of everything I've done this year was with a four-wheeler.
Right.
Four-wheeler and a little cedar. So right now, say your duck hole's holding water, but you can get the water off of it. If you don't have a ton of vegetation, all a man's got to do right now is as soon as that water comes off, take a hand cedar, four-wheeler cedar, 25 pounds of millet to the acre, and just topsoil it right on top of the mud. It's going to sprout. It's going to come up. You catch a rain or two, you're going to make something. And if it doesn't, all right, so you add a little sweat, you add a little seed. That's a pretty good risk-reward type deal to kill a few more ducks.
That's
and
right.
everybody's like, well, it doesn't make that big a difference. Well, maybe not. But let's just say you and your son's hunting or whatever, and it buys you one more day of decent hunting.
Right.
And your son kills his first band.
That's right.
So how big was that food plot you planted? If it
very major.
It can't hurt a thing. I like rice in the woods. If you can get some sunlight, anywhere you can get sunlight, something will grow. A lot of water seeding this year. Throw your rice in the water, let it sit 2 days, pull the water off, seed sinks, sticks to the mud, sprouts, comes up, and you're done. Without a tractor, without a disc, without anything, just a four-wheeler and a little know-how. It's doable, and that's kind of the message I like trying to get out to people is you don't have to have a bunch of equipment. You just got to want it. A little more than your neighbor.
And you can look on your social or YouTube, correct? Because I've watched, and I'm sure everybody here
it's
has
not
watched.
hidden information on how to do this. You're open book on how you can do this, and there's lots of other guys out there, besides Rusty, that social media guys that are more than willing and happy to point in the right direction. Most people are a wealth of knowledge if you'll ask, and they'll offer you anything you ask. Most guys I know, I mean, if you ask them, you come to them in earnest and ask them, nobody's going to tell you no.
I answered. There's no telling how many private messages on Instagram I've answered this year. Just, hey, should I do this? And I don't mind, because like I said, man, if that guy has a hunt, I mean, I know how special it is with my oldest daughter. My youngest one don't like to hunt. My oldest one loves it, and I know how special it is to share those moments together. Yeah. Like this was our last youth hunt together. We took tons of pictures. I mean, it was awesome. So, man, if you can create a moment like that, and you get a picture, I mean, you'll remember that. And if all of that might have been all because you did a little work in the off season and made your hunting just a little better.
That's right. One other thing that I'll add, and I talked about it with Terry Denman from Mojo this morning. We were actually spraying some food plots. We were spraying some millet with a weed master to kill some broadleaf vegetation so that grasses could grow better. But he mentioned one thing. He said, if we do all this and coffee beans or something just take over, he said, worst case scenario, we'll hit it with the disc right before the season, lay it over, and them invertebrates will grow in there in that mass that's laid over once that water gets on it. And ducks will eat that. It'll grow them by the millions. And so there's always something that you can do if you spend a little time and research and try to learn it, and just to make your hunting better. A little sweat equity, like Rusty said, will go a long way.
It does. You can't think about it the day before season. It's not your shotgun you get out of the safe. You gotta prep it all year long for that morning.
And that food, it holds ducks. I mean, you go hold them, and that to me is they're gonna eat you out. They're gonna get you, but you're gonna hold them, man, and they're not gonna move around quite.
Well, it goes back to what Kyle said. If you got food, when they eat your food, they're eating and doing their business, and that's what the invertebrates are after. Mm-hmm. So I mean, it's a cycle that keeps on.
I think the invertebrates is people don't know enough about.
Right, ducks don't. A lot of people think ducks come to our woods to eat. Ducks don't come to our woods to eat. They come to get away from everybody else around because we don't put pressure on them. Mm-hmm. So I got 20 holes, and I plant them all in rice. We only hunt 3. All right, so they're not coming in there to eat. Now, once we get them in there, we hold them a little longer because we've got some food around.
Hey, y'all. As we take a break from the Simmons Sporting Goods All Things Hunting podcast for a second, I want to go over one thing with you. Due to the crazy times that we're living in America, there's somewhat of a gun and ammo shortage across the country. Well, Simmons Sporting Goods has gone out of their way to make sure that you have the guns and ammunition in stock to protect your family. Shop now at SimmonsSportingGoods.com to pick up that ammunition that may be out from retailers across the country.
Can you shoot one hole and the ducks sit on another hole without getting them out of there, without blowing everything?
Yeah, so on, roughly a section of ground.
Yeah.
If we hunt one end of the woods, honestly, if anybody's watched any of the stuff, you've seen me before early in the mornings, just let them all land. Let's let them get down in the woods, because once they light in the woods, even if they're 100 yards, you can shoot all you want. All they're going to do is swim away from you. And they're going to sit in the woods all day. So every duck that comes over and sees all those ducks in your woods, guess where they're coming? They're coming right there. Opening morning, classic case, we shoot them with bows. Shoot them with bows. Don't make any racket. So everyone around us is beating and banging. Guess where all those ducks are coming? They're coming to our woods because there's no noise. Mm-hmm. And that just sets the tone for all the next few days. So like I said, the food's just a bonus, and it helps hold them.
What opening day are we shooting with bows, Josh?
Well, you see, no, we might not. If Rusty invites us, we will. But other than that, we won't shoot.
I just film with my phone. I really
We'll
would.
shoot shots.
We could, but Jeff probably wouldn't do that.
Jeff's not going to.
No way.
We would be
Two
shooting
10
with a-
gauges is going to be going off.
No doubt. We'd be at full draw, and he'd be blasting with a 10 gauge.
Tell us a little bit. Now we'll move on to what.
I don't know kind
Yeah,
of
what
what
Josh and Devin do
too.
for their stuff, because they put the work in, man. Like he said, where they hunt is a couple of hours from where they live.
Yeah.
But I know one of them, they're up there all the time. But just kind of fill me in on what you've done, and I know Devin's been a part of it too.
What kind of
Y'all go
habitat
ahead.
you hunt and everything.
Kind of over the last 5 years, our property sold, had new landowners. Along with the rough weather that we've had a lot of water like Rusty had, and where we're at's low ground. It's all natural low areas. So it stays pretty wet. So if they don't get in there by April, they can't get in there because that's the rainy season and it's done. They can't usually turn that ground over until June, which plays out in our favor. I'm all for it. I know those guys got to make a living, and I wish they could plant their crops, but I like those wild native grasses that come up, sprinkle top, barnyard, smartweed. We got it all up there, and we got about 500 acres. So this year, I went up there, I guess it was about May. I called Devin, I said, I'm not planting. Our barnyard is about thigh high, and it's already headed out. And it was the prettiest barnyard I've ever seen. I went up there in June, and we had about 3 foot of coffee bean coming up. Well, the coffee bean ended up choking it out, so I called the farmer. He had a disc nearby, and I said, hey, let's disc it all down, and we'll reseed it. I was actually showing Rusty today from a month ago. It's so wet up there from a month ago. They disc it all the way down, not to dirt. They just single disc it. It's already back about knee high, and some of it's starting to head back out. My preference.
A lot of that's, barnyard grass. A lot of that's 1,200 pounds to 2,000 pounds of seed per acre. Granted, it's wild. We're not fertilizing. We're not anything.
Yeah.
So that's just average. So you got anywhere from 1,000 to 2,000 pounds of food per acre with a wild, forage.
Could you buy that seed and plant it if you didn't have it on your place?
Not barnyard.
Not
Basically,
barnyard.
it's a wild millet.
It's a souped up millet.
It's
Yeah,
a wild
it is.
millet.
It's a wild millet.
It's producing 100 times more seed per stalk. I may be incorrect, just a hair on that,
Yeah.
but I know it's
A lot
crazy
more.
amount of number of seeds per stalk than just a planted millet.
For
So
someone,
when that was already thigh high and y'all went in there and disced it, basically
We reseeded.
I
fertilized
reseeded
it,
the ground what was there, and
Yeah.
you see it. You hear a lot of people talk about fields being left out, especially over the past few years around here. And there's some guys around here that know what we've done over that barnyard grass, and they say our fields are getting left out. But you go by the field and there's no barnyard. It's just not growing everywhere. We're just fortunate enough to have it where we're at.
Right.
And Cole's been there. Devin hunts with us every day. We're all in the same club.
if you didn't have the barnyard, what would y'all come in with millet and plant
Millet.
it?
We planted
We
millet
planted some millet last year. Just
I sat on the bed of a truck, and he drove the truck with a hand spreader.
Yeah.
How many pounds of millet did we spread?
600.
600 pounds of millet
We know that
on the
too.
tailgate of a
And
truck,
it's,
and him driving.
But
and
like
me
he said,
spreading
with
it.
that coffee weed is invasive. And
Oh, yeah.
if you don't,
Yeah.
if you didn't disc it, or I'm a better fan of disc it than spraying
Well,
it, but because it's tough to kill. Coffee weed's tough to kill even when you spray Roundup.
Yeah,
or
and
other
we
things.
we like a little coffee
Some
bean,
of
but
it.
we had so much. So 3 years ago we had a little bit more, and then last year it kind of took over one of our fields, and we still had a good crop of barnyard. Well, it got so wet right before season we couldn't get in there and disc it. So we took not
Drill
even
stem.
a roller. We don't own a roller. Farmer want to charge us $150 an acre to roll it.
We
I
got a
said,
piece
we're
of
gonna
drill
figure-
stem
We're gonna
pipe.
figure a different deal. We got a drill stem pipe. We hooked it to a range and we rolled it down.
Yeah, welded 2 hooks,
200
hook,
acres.
hook chain to it.
Again,
and drug it
goes
behind
right
range.
back here to just a little bit more work.
Yeah, it's
you
a
know?
little bit more work, and you may tear up a piece of equipment. It may have been better just to pay that farmer, but you know what? It's the time I put in. That
We were
makes it worth it,
smiling
you
the
know?
whole time.
And those coffee beans they kind of act like a corn stalk in places. I've seen those ducks get in there and really wad up.
Oh.
That gives them some good
Man,
security and
yeah.
good
They like
cover.
it, especially
So-
late in the year. They love
So
it.
having a few of them, like you
Yeah.
said, don't hurt
And
don't
so
hurt
I
you
was
too
talking
bad.
to a biologist here over some of the federal refuges, and he actually came down there and hunted with us. He said, "Man, we try to manage some of our units just like this." He said, "But this is the craziest thing I've ever seen." I said, "Why are those ducks getting in all the grass other than security?" because it was cold that first year that we really did this, and he said that puts off a thermal heat.
Yeah, that grass insulates.
He said it's basically insulation. He said that's why they pile up in there and they can produce a little bit more heat. Keep
Makes
the water.
sense. It
It
makes
helps them
sense.
keep the water open because if
Get out of that wind.
everybody's aware, about 3 years ago it got cold here. Now the past 2 years it hadn't been very cold, but
And like I said, Cole's been there and seen where our lease isn't just crazy far from some catfish ponds. We have eagles like crazy. And man, when those eagles go to circle and you can see those ducks, they stack up in that coffee bean and they get in there and they really get in there thick, and that's what they're doing. They're using it as cover to stay away from them. It's pretty neat to watch. I mean, you can see some stuff just watching birds.
It's a cool little place that, that's where my heart's at, and duck hunting. I like going everywhere and chasing birds and whatever, but there's just something always about it. I kind of call it home. I started hunting there in 05.
Right.
And these areas we're talking about, man, they range from what did you call yours, Rusty? Not necessarily northeast Arkansas, but more northeast to southeast to southeast Arkansas to northeast Louisiana, and man, we all use some of the same tactics and different places, but it's worked well for us. And if you got even like I said, even if it's just it's not a very big piece of ground. I mean, you may have thought Rusty's was 4,000 acres, but man, look what he does on.
Yeah, you look on Google Earth and look at that little dot, and you're like, why do they come there? Well, it's because
work.
It's they've been coming there for one, and you're not they're not getting their butt shot off all day, and they got a little food, they got a little rest area. I mean, it's all managing food is important, but managing your ducks as far as how you hunt them is huge.
Yeah.
If you're blessed with a big enough spot, you need a spot to rest them, you need a spot to hunt them. Now, again, public land. I know y'all, and I wouldn't either. I wouldn't rest nothing. If I could kill them, I'd kill them.
No, you get after
Yeah.
it.
Kill them.
You better.
Yeah, that's right.
grind it out.
That's right.
Don't save this one for tomorrow.
No,
I mean, you go get them.
That's right. That's
But,
exactly right.
And I think the cool part, like Josh said, Josh has been where we're at a little bit longer than I have. You've been where you're at for 18 years. But the cool part is you growing with the place. Like right now, you can look at the 10-day forecast and tell me exactly what you're going to do.
Oh, yeah.
And you almost tell me exactly where you're going to set every decoy for every day of those 10 days, depending on the weather, the wind, all of that. And you're a lot like us. I saw one of your Instagram posts today. When it rains, I'm going hunting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you, man, them ducks, a wet duck doesn't like to fly. When it rains, a duck's looking for a place to get. He's looking for company. He's looking for a place to eat. You can get them on a rainy day.
Maybe it was because it was in 2020. Maybe it was in January, but it seemed like last season, on a sunny day, if you didn't have some wind, you just didn't kill them. But you give me a little wind and some rain and clouds,
you get 'em.
we smoked them.
I'm fine.
I'm fine with it.
Yeah,
Give me
Exactly what-
wind,
yeah,
give me wind.
I don't care if it's a sprinkle or a pour down.
Everybody likes to see them come down in the sunshine, but to me it doesn't matter if it's sunshine, if it's hailing, if it's raining. Now, I had a little scare with lightning, so I quit.
Yeah, I've had that myself.
But as soon as it quits, I'm going back.
But would y'all agree? If there ain't no rain in that forecast and there ain't no wind and them clouds are out,
Boy, it's tough.
It's tough.
Makes it tough on
It's
everybody.
tough.
Public, private,
It's
it don't
tough.
matter where you are. It's
Makes it real
tough.
tough on the cameraman to hide. I promise you.
Oh
Yeah.
man, and that's another thing, which Rusty knows. Hiding in the woods, even in the woods, man, it looks like the boogeyman down in there when you get, because you're running 10 guys sometimes on a cloudy day. You just can't get away. And in a field hunters, they think, well, we're down in this box. Man, you got to get hid. You got to get back. You got to get in the shadows. And that's what you're hiding. Your camouflage, real trees makes great. There's tons of great camouflage out there, but your shadows are what you're using to a big advantage. And when you lose those, man, these birds got really good eyes. That's what help them survive.
A couple things I do that might help somebody listening. If you're hunting in the timber or wherever, I'll cut about a dozen stalks of cane and put it around each tree where I know people's going to stand.
Yep.
They're not really hiding it behind the cane, but it breaks their outline up because everybody wants to watch, everybody wants to peek. And I run mojos, and something I like to do is try if I can move my spinners away from my guests.
Yeah.
Because I take people, they're not duck hunters. I mean, like I said, so that they want to watch. So anything I can do to give me a little bit of an advantage. Yeah, I like the way the mojos work. I mean, I think I need them. I run 6 to 8 a day. But I'll put them away from my hunters to where when those ducks are working and they go behind the trees and stuff, they're looking at those mojos flashing versus my guys standing there kind of peeking and wanting to watch, because I don't blame them, man. It's something to see when they do it.
Especially if you don't see it all the time. You know,
Oh,
I mean, it's that's.
I like watching it, and I see it every day.
Yeah, I mean, how many times have we all seen it? And it's still. I mean, it's. I can't wait to see it again.
That's
You know, and
right.
you got guys. You know, in your case, and I've hunted with some guys that have never seen it, and just the. I mean, it's hard to look away from.
That's
you know?
right.
we can't stand hunting with the flaps up in the pit blind just because we like watching them.
I
hate
hunted
it.
flaps
I've
off
hunted with
ours.
Cole. It's like hunting with a kid, man.
I took the flaps off ours.
Teal come in, boy, and them spoonies. I'm
I'm
ready.
a
Rusty love it.
some think I take a little too far when I put brush on the blind, but
I tell you what, Josh, he does it. I love brushing blinds in too, man. I probably brushed, I don't know how many different pits where we were
I
hunting
know you
that
did.
last
I
year.
know you did at least 10 last year
Yeah.
by yourself.
But I tell you what, Josh and them have done, and they take care of this like a deer lease, basically, like deer stands. The way they take care of this 2 fields they got right there. But I'll let him tell you a little bit about it. But it's a little bit of an art to it, man. And he put some work, some time, and a little bit of money into it. But I'm telling you, man, that's why when we look at the weather, I look for sun. I don't even look for cold weather as much as I look for sunshine. When I look at my phone, sunshine and a little bit of wind.
Sunshine or rain.
Yeah,
If it's raining, it doesn't matter.
I want
That's
a
it.
little bit of wind, but when I see clouds and no wind, but I'll let Josh tell you a little bit about what he does to his, and it's a pit, and it's one of the nicest pits I've ever hunted in. But how they, with the natural cover and all that, and what he's done with that.
Yeah, so we a couple years ago we put a 20-foot pit in our best field. We had a 12, 14 footer.
12 footer.
I don't know, but
we've hunted 6 people on a 12
we've hunted a
foot
bunch of
pit
people out of it.
before. It's rough, buddy.
As I grew older and got a little more knowledge on my head, I was like, I can do this easier with a bigger pit and take maybe a couple more people.
That's right.
So when we brush, we take it to the max extreme. We clean the entire levee off if it's out of the ordinary from everything else, and we'll go cut.
But that brushing has started right now, basically.
Yeah,
From
so
what they've done.
So
I mean, it started early in the summer.
This year I went up early and I started fertilizing all our rows.
Yeah.
So that gets everything going and taken off, and then we'll go in when we get ready. We'll pump our pit out. We'll start cutting it back and we'll start matching it. But Johnson grass in duck season is my best friend.
Yeah.
I know somebody who runs a bush hog all the time in the summertime, especially Rusty. He probably hates Johnson grass. It's my best friend. Me and him will cut a 20-foot trailer load of Johnson grass. We'll bundle it up. And we got a panel system on our blind where, if we got 2 guys hunting, we take out 2 guys worth of panels. Cole's hunted. He's seen it. We can take.
And it says panel. It's a 2 by 12, 2 by 10.
It's a 1 by 12.
Or yeah, 1 by
And
So
we
a
got
guy
a high rise front pit from bayou to view. They do a good job for us. We've hunted out of a bunch of different pits. It's one of the nicest ones for the price that I found. They do good quality work. But the panel system is something that I actually got from Jeff. It's on all his pits, and I went to the extreme more. He has enough to put in between everybody. I have enough to cover the entire pit. So when I leave, there's no hole in the ground. You don't see anything. It's completely sealed. And about once a week, I'll tell all those guys, hey, we need to go 45 minutes early. We got to cut some brush, take to the blind. Especially if I know it's going to be cloudy and we're going to have 6, 7 guys in there.
And then a couple times a year, we will go and we'll cut 2 to 3 20-foot trailer loads of Johnson grass.
Yeah.
And redo.
Make bundles with zip
Make
ties.
bundles
ties
with
and
zip
bundles.
ties and then zip tie. We
And
got chicken wire on top.
Yeah, they're all bundles all the way on all the flaps or all the traps that we have. And then we'll V them. So basically when every hunter comes up to shoot, he just rolls them over. And you're shooting. And on a cloudy day, he's seen it. We have a north wind. The birds come over the backward to try to sit down. Since we started the trap system, you're not shooting
Catch 'em
at
with a net.
45. You catch them with a net. They don't see that pit. It's not stuck up out of the ground. It's below the road. And, for the money, it's worth it. Because I've shot a lot of shells at 40 yards trying to shoot a bird over the north wind.
And we
coming
kind of
back.
caught on to this, was it 6, 7 years ago maybe? We flew a drone up and looked at our pits, man.
Oh, right.
And I was Google Earth and looking at
You'll see how
I'm a huge fan of Google Earth. Best scouting tool anybody can use for anything. And because you can backdate, you can look back every time that satellite's taking a picture, so we could see when we were looking for other leases and stuff like this. And man, from I want to say it was like 3,000 foot elevation. You could see pit blinds everywhere. Those black lines of that hole in the ground.
even
and
when
man,
you
I'm telling you,
brush
ducks. You
They know what
cannot
they
convince me that they don't see that and associate. I'm not saying they associate, hey, there's a hunter in there, but they associate with, hey, something's not right here.
I mean, you can go up and look at those blinds, and there's black holes everywhere, and there's some blinds out there that's the only way you can hunt them. You can't see anything if you don't have that hole open.
No.
But that's the way we like to do it. It's been successful for us, so we don't change. I mean, a lot of people go to changing a bunch of stuff and think they're going to get better results, but if you're getting good results, why change?
That's right.
I think we can all say that we agree with being hid is probably.
That's it. It's everything.
Would you say probably the most important thing when it comes to duck hunting? There's a lot of other things we're about to get into.
I would also say, if you can scout right before you hunt and all that, you got to be where the ducks want to be, too, and hid, and so it can make a difference on your hunt as well.
Yeah, me and this one right here spent many hours last year scouting for guys coming in and out there. If you've ever been to that farm, it ain't easy to scout.
No, we scout off tractors.
You scout off tractors with tracks.
Y'all, that's kind of a similar deal with me. Y'all, we're not selling no hunts. I don't outfit per se, but we still got people coming in that we want to entertain. We show them a good time, and man, there's some pressure involved in this game. Especially if they're here for one day.
Right.
You got one shot.
And maybe they're, like you said earlier, maybe their only time to hunt all year.
Yeah.
We're gonna get, if we go on a bad hunt, we kind of chalk it up as bad
we got tomorrow. They don't have no tomorrow.
Yeah, and to me, and Devin hunts them, and we take some guys up there, and he brings customers, I bring customers, and it kind of all feels like it falls on your shoulders. If you fail, you failed those guys, and I want it to be as good for them while they're there as it is for if it's just me, Devin, Rusty, and Cole hunting.
It's frustrating when you kill all these birds and you take and
you're talking to them on the phone like,
somebody
man,
did that
here.
to me turkey hunting this year. Somebody did that to us turkey hunting this year.
They did.
I ain't gonna mention their
We're
name.
gonna get into that later. Well, we may take a little break just for a second right here. We're gonna come back with a couple more topics.
Come by Simmons Sporting Goods and check out the new A5 semi-auto shotguns from Browning, the best there is. Now back to the Simmons Sporting Goods All Things Hunting Podcast. Welcome back, everybody. Simmons Sporting Goods All Things Hunting, Episode 3. We got about 20 minutes into a big duck talk, and we just figured out we're not even close to being done. So, y'all, hang on. We're going to keep it rolling, but I'm going to open it back up with Rusty, let him get back into a little more stuff and give you a little science on ducks in general and kind of how to kill some of them.
That's right. So, 03, I decided I wanted to do wall-to-wall food plots. I was working for a seed and chemical company at the time. A lot of our farmers worked for the feds. They farm their ground, all right? So if you get that ground, you leave your rent in the field, which would entail 1/4. So if you got a 100-acre rice field, you have to leave 25 acres of standing rice. And at times, that's in a sanctuary that you can't hunt. So you can do the math, 200 bushel rice at 25 acres times 45, it's a whole bunch of food. So I'm thinking, how do you compete with that? Well, there ain't but one way. If you can't beat them, you got to join them. So I started doing the food and doing the food plots and leaving rest areas. And kind of my thinking on that, and y'all elaborate more. Y'all are a lot more well-traveled. But I'm thinking the ducks leave Canada, and on the way down, the way this flyways kind of change, I think they go to this sanctuary, then they probably go to this sanctuary, and then they bounce to this one, bounce to that one, bounce to that one, which has kind of shifted the flyway one direction or the other. Now, you're still going to have some, but I'm not seeing the volume. But luckily, I got on board of that when it was really starting, right. And I feel like that has kind of helped us stay pretty consistent. What do y'all think?
Well, we can go into that, and I want to ask a question because there is a large audience out there. I'm for a man's got his property, manage it the best. If you've got the ability, you're the steward of that property, manage it to the best of your God-given ability, whether that's planting or not. But you have a bunch of guys that are against this, saying we're short stopping ducks, this, that, and the other. I don't necessarily agree with that. I just think, ducks we hadn't had the winters, and you got these Februaries, and there are guys are managing better. I'm not saying they're short stopping ducks. They're managing their property better, and they're flying in and feeding ducks late. I don't know if y'all fly in corn after season. I know a lot of places do.
Imprint those birds.
But yeah, birds are imprinting too, because you have, this year with Canada being closed, you're going to have a lot more first-year ducks. But the first-year ducks that make it through, they come down to Arkansas, Louisiana. It's kind of the end of the flyway, and you feed them a little later. And when they leave, we've got to assume that they're thinking, hey, and with the banding programs and everything going on now, it's proven science now that those ducks are coming back, because ducks you're banding in February, you're killing in November.
That's right.
So ducks are just imprinting different, and a lot of that's due. I don't think it's necessarily short stopping ducks. I think it's just we're having milder Februaries and Marches. I remember even when I was a kid, and I'm not old, March, almost every March we got a heavy snow at some point in time. It was still cold, and that just doesn't happen anymore. We're hearing turkeys gobble in February. It just doesn't get as cold, and ducks aren't coming on down into Cameron Parish and South Louisiana into the marsh, because down there it's 50, 60 degrees, and northeast Arkansas it's 30 and 40 degrees.
I had skim ice one morning last year.
Yeah,
that's it.
And that's it. So I don't think I'm not going to jump on that bandwagon and say the hot ponds and this, that, and the other holding all the ducks. We're just not having the weather to get them down, is my opinion. And I'm all for. I think it is a great practice, because as a hunter, the animals I kill, I want to be healthy. The animals I'm pursuing, and I think it's a great practice, guys, feeding these birds.
Oh.
And we see it in general down this way. We're killing really healthy fat mallards in December and January. We're used to it. Yeah, and teal and spoon and Cole after the big chunky butterball spoonbills is what he's after.
Josh is right there with me.
So
I'm hunting.
Yeah, that's it.
Trying to kill that limit as fast as we can so we can go eat breakfast.
And I can come back to next
I'm
day.
going to save my bullets. Y'all are going to shoot all that mess.
We're trying to get Rusty down here one day.
Yeah.
He takes off.
We're going to show him.
They'll ban me from Instagram and YouTube and everything else if I shot a spoon.
He said it'd ruin his credibility.
If
we
you
go
said them
scout-
green wing teal or green,
They got a green
on.
head. I guess that's right.
What's wrong with
Spoonbill's got a green head.
That's
That's
right.
right.
Money too.
No, hey man, you play the hand you dealt. There's been many a teal and spooning has saved many a hunt.
Oh,
No,
Many a hunt.
Yes.
We had
many of mine, not yours.
yeah, we had a group of we was finished one morning. I say finished, we were done. We only had 19 birds. And I had a group of 10 guys. Everybody's unloading their guns, already made the call, we're going to eat breakfast. And I hear wings just
This is at 6:45.
No, boy, it's
It's
about 9 o'clock.
Not only was it at 6:45, it was 16 green heads and 3 wood.
No. So we had 18 birds. Heck, we had like 10 guys, and we were way short. Boss is hungry, so all right, let's go. I hear wings cutting, and I look, and it's just a wad, and they're bowed up. Everybody's already unloaded, so I go to throwing shells, and everybody's loading. And it's the biggest group of gadwalls I have ever seen. There was no less.
That made me mad, but I love
There
it.
was no less than 100 in that group, and they made 3 turns. And I said, "They're fixing to do it." And they come around the oak tree there at the gar hole, and when I'm talking about got right, I'm talking about they was about 3 foot off the water, backpedaling, and they were wadded up. And I don't think I can say what I said the exact words, but it was kill them. And anyway, it sounded like a war. We picked up 21.
Oh.
21 out of one volley of gadwalls. So we went from a 19 bird hunt to 40. That looks a lot better in the book than
No, I
19.
guarantee
You
you.
ain't kidding.
Even though 19 ain't bad at all.
No.
No.
By
that's
Rusty
exactly-
standards,
Hey, I'm spoiled. I know it. I like it.
That's why we give you a hard time, because you know it.
But let me ask this question.
We're jealous.
Me and Josh mentioned it a while ago. We work some in Oklahoma and Texas and areas, and I would say that the duck hunting in Kansas, Oklahoma, and even Texas is better than it used to be.
For sure.
Now, is that because the pressure in this flyway that we hunt here at home, or is that those ducks don't get bothered with as much over there, or would you say that, to be honest with you, there's food over there, but a lot of the tanks that you see them on, there's peanut fields, there's still plenty of ag fields, not much rice, but there's corn fields over there, and all that.
Lots of wheat.
Lots of wheat, lots of grain, but I lean more toward it's not near as much pressure. There is food, and they're going to go for food, no doubt, but there's so much pressure that we hunt the smartest ducks in the world.
Oh.
Where we at once they get to this Arkansas, Louisiana, Arkansas, Missouri line. And that, yeah, I don't know, but there's a lot of guys that do really well in those 3 states. And we've all hunted some of that, but not a couple times here and there a year. But
I think it's just because of the way it feels. When you're hunting a big, wide open spot, whether it's Canada or Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, when you're hunting big, wide, spread out, when you can look and see somebody, you're like, I feel really close to them. If you're hunting in the woods, a guy's 100, 200, 300 yards away from you, you can't see him. You know, it doesn't, you're like, well, I mean, I can't see him, he can't see me. But it is, the pressure is.
I think it's a little both pressure and efficiency of farming now.
Yeah.
Like Rusty was talking, they plant their sanctuaries and stuff like that, and that's great. I'm all for it. Man can do it, and I think it's good for the ducks. Plenty to eat, but the efficiency of these combines now, where if you go into
100%.
Marouge and there's 5,000 acres of rice that they cut, there's not near as much grain left in the field
Well, and they're
as
cutting
there
it.
was 10 years
And they're
ago.
cutting it in August. All right,
Right.
so
they're
that when
discing.
yeah, and when that grain falls out and it rains on it and it sprouts, that duck food just left.
Right.
Oh, 100%.
And I think that plays a lot of it on top of the pressure. They don't have many places to go. If they do find food, they ain't going to be there long.
And a lot of our guys right now are drying out corn right now.
Yeah.
If you're not from Louisiana or from South Arkansas, you're thinking, man, that corn don't. No, they're done watering. They're drying out.
It's kicked out.
They are
I saw them
getting
spraying
ready.
some
They
the
are
other
getting
day.
ready to cut corn. If some have already, if they got good dryers that
Yeah.
they can dry. And then what do? They get those fields ready, and it looks
Disking
like
down
a
the
dirt disc field already rode up, and I think that does hurt us as well.
And the crazy thing about that is I talked to our guy in South Dakota. His family farms corn as well. And I told him, I was on the phone, I said, they're spraying corn right now. They're getting ready to cut it here in the middle of August. They'll start cutting it, quite a bit of it. Their corn up there is thigh high, knee high. They just, it ain't been in the ground long.
Which goes right back to why there'll be ducks up there longer.
Right, because they cut and they hunt.
Everything's
They
later.
cut here and it's 3.5 months.
I never thought about that. That's exactly right.
The efficiency of farming is way better
And you got South
than what it
Louisiana.
has been.
I mean, a lot of rice farmers in South Louisiana are pulling crawfish out, putting rice in, harvesting rice, and putting another one in before duck season.
And I see a
raccoon
lot of
rice
them crawfishing in rice fields that they're growing rice and they never take the water off. They cut it with water in the field. They get a second crop and they cut it again.
I think no doubt we're hunting the smartest, most
Smart.
educated birds, and we've all got buddies in Canada and I hate it for them, especially on the business side. It's going to affect people for sure, and I hate it for everybody.
Yeah, with the border being closed.
For
I mean,
sure. But I've said for the last couple of years, I think that a lot of our young ducks get killed up there.
Oh, there's no doubt. Me and Josh were trying to do some math. They're just rough math. Just, we know a couple different guide services and say, okay, so say this accounts for X percent of the ducks killed. We kind of know the numbers they kill. And it can get astronomical, and that's Canada. All right, they leave Canada, they go to North Dakota, which North Dakota fires up, September, October? They fire
September.
up there. All right, and then they go to South Dakota, and they're coming on down, and every season's opening up before us. And then you get to Missouri, the northern part of Missouri, it's opening up 1st of November, right? And then it's closing mid-December. We still got a month of duck season left, and they're closed.
Our best
And
one.
them ducks do not have to move
They don't have to do nothing.
from right there. And it is. The ducks we're getting have seen it.
So with it being closed,
We ought
I'm
to get
anxious.
some young
I'm
ducks
anxious
in.
to see if our theories are right. If it's going to be any better down here. If it's a little bit better year. You shoot 8. You shoot what, 8 a day up there?
8 a day.
8 a day.
You-
and
I
they
mean,
can.
you
And
can see 'em.
honestly, they could all be hens. I know most people
Right.
don't
It's
try,
tough.
but
It's tough
You
early.
don't know
Right.
early.
Yeah,
Except-
September you can't tell. You
Right.
I
can't
think we've
tell.
all been. It's
Right.
tough.
Right.
Even October, I was at the end of September, October when I went this past year, and it was still. I mean, there was bunches, the older ducks, you could see them, but the younger ducks, and you can tell it, man. The older ducks would be 10 or 20. They kind of come in, circle a couple times.
And man, I don't.
Then you look up, and here comes 100. And it looked like mosquitoes coming, and that's your first year.
Right. And I don't blame people for going up
No,
there.
man,
It looks like a blast.
Oh, it is. It's as much fun as you can have.
But I do feel like it may hurt us a little down here, and we'll see. You know, you can shoot 8 hens up there, and if we don't put on our social media, if we've got a couple hens up front, there's usually a guy that's going to say something.
Oh, yeah.
Even though it's legal. Again,
There's always a guy.
Don't be that guy.
Don't
be that guy.
Well, that's a good.
Hey, you don't have nothing to say nice. Don't say
Don't say nothing at
well,
all.
that's a good lead into another topic.
Come by Simmons Sporting Goods and check out the new models of the X-Bolt rifle from Browning. The best there is. Now back to the Simmons Sporting Goods All Things Hunting Podcast.
Let's say different scenarios. I mean, for one, everybody loves to kill greenheads. I haven't met one person who don't want to kill greenhead. I mean, but let's be real. On a lot of the places we hunt and everywhere we go, I mean, unless you're in the timber, there's a good chance you're gonna have a mixed bag. And I don't know. My theory is, hey, kill your ducks, man. Kill them. Don't educate them. So I mean, let's shoot your ducks and get out of there. That's what I like to do. I like to kill ducks. I mean, does it stuck on mallard? I get a hard time. They give it to me pretty good on. Dude, well, I know you may think it's funny, spoonies. I love shooting spoonies and teal. I mean, you know, if there's other ducks working, I'm not going to shoot the spoonies. But man,
I don't believe you.
No.
but I'm telling you, and I'll vouch for Josh. I'll vouch for Kyle. Devin's a little bit more on the other side, I think. But not only going to bring Rusty into this. But we're gonna kill our ducks, and we're gonna get out of there, and we're gonna let them ducks come back into these fields. And we're gonna sit, and we're gonna do it again the next day.
That's right.
That's just kind of how I feel. I think Josh is similar to that. And
I think it's different places too.
You gotta
Again,
be
when you got a
careful,
place
yeah.
like Rusty, again, what he said in public woods as well. Once a raft of ducks starts happening, you can be 100 yards from them and shoot them. They're just gonna roll. All right, but you start putting ducks in a field, you start letting spoonbills go through and teal go through. Ducks are social animals, all right? So you get 9 or 10 spoonbills that land out there. You get 2 mallards come in, or you get 10 or 15 teal land out there, and you're waiting on 2 mallards. Well, they land. You shoot those 2 mallards. Well, those teal get up, and they're going to go to the next field, and they're going to hang over there. All right, the next group of ducks come over. They see these ducks swimming around making real ripples and everything else. You just created real-life decoys away from yourself. You're hurt. I think it's different strokes in different places. Field hunting, I do think it's a different ball game.
I do too.
You need to get what you can get and go.
If I'm hunting in the field, rent ain't free.
No.
Don't come land 50
Rent
yards
ain't free.
outside the
I
decoys
like
because
it.
you're out of here.
Hey, if it's legal,
Exactly.
kill it. And again, that's what I
And-
try
and-
to tell people.
And we can go around and I'm a fan of in the woods. Of course, we want to kill it, but hey, we'll shoot every duck that comes in there.
That's right.
I mean, never over the limit in hens, especially. We got to
Nope.
protect them. We've got to do that.
That's right.
But man, we all may not even be in agreement about that. But I think I like
Most
killing
of the
your
people
ducks.
I know,
And I
aren't
give
gonna
Rusty
say.
I give him props for this though. On his stringers, he's not usually just green. I think he's a fan of
I've got
killing
some
his
hens
ducks.
because again,
And I like
quick-
that.
The sooner I get out, you got to find a happy medium. You don't want to burn them up early and shoot a bunch of them out. But once you let them sit down, we shoot ducks, and we're watching the colors, and we're keeping up. All right, we don't need. All right, we're good on brown. We can kill a couple extra brown. If I need 4 ducks to finish out a limit, and I'm plenty good on green and versus brown, and there's 2 drakes and 2 hens, it's a bad day. Now I'll say this: a single hen
Sorry
comes
about
in.
your luck.
Yeah.
Single hen comes in, she gets a free pass. But now she got a drake with her. She's had
What
a
if
bad
she got
day.
a band on her foot?
Oh, she's
done for.
Yeah, it's over.
Well,
it's over.
Just didn't make it.
It's over. That don't count. That's
I am
different.
a better man than you are. I let one go one time.
Yeah, it
Oh,
wasn't because she was a
God,
hen,
what
though.
bogus.
It was because what was
Oh.
behind her. It's like saying you let a doe by one time because there's a 150 behind her.
We were
It's
in
a different deal.
public ground, and it was the best I've ever seen in the woods for 10 or 12 days straight. And we got in a hole, and they started coming in about 5 minutes before shooting light. and it didn't stop. And
It
we
lasted till shooting time.
we killed 28 mallards, and I don't know, it was 15
You couldn't
minutes.
tell. You couldn't tell.
Well, they were coming in, and it almost like a box fan was on you when they were coming in. And a hen fluttered over me. It was me and another guy on a tree. Hen fluttered over us. She had a band on her foot, and he looked at me at the same time. Well, I didn't want to ruin that show.
You should have seen his eyes.
Oh.
It was
I bet he
regret
couldn't
and
find her after
excitement and
that.
everything.
But
yeah.
it was a show, and to this day I've never seen anything like it,
Yeah.
and may not never see it again. But I'm gonna keep going because one day I might see it again, and if I get invited by Rusty, I know I'll see it again.
When's the last time you hunted not in the woods?
Oh, one.
Yeah, what year? When's the last time
Oh wow!
have you
Think on
stepped
Mount- on-
outside of the timber?
On Mallard Madness 5, 6, something like that. So that's been 6 or 7 years ago. I had a little old cornfield, little patch of corn planted in my rest field, and we hunted just on the side of a levee, just huddled up in some trees. And I caught flack from all the other guys because I was like, "What kind of duck is that?" Because I mean, I don't hunt the field.
Yeah, well,
I was like, well, I know that's a greenhead, but man, we shot pintails, we shot teal, we shot. It was fun. I mean, it's always fun to do something different.
Come on down. Welcome to our
It's
world.
fun.
That is our jam. Getting out there and finding ducks that are maybe just holding up in this
You
one
see
spot.
a pintail floating by Cole.
I'm actually, I'll be honest with you, teal's my favorite. Teal
Teal is
saved
his
my
favorite.
job. They saved me.
Man, I saw
telling
you
you.
act like a little school child. I mean, just
I will.
We'll see. Cole, it happened to me, Cole, and Brad last year. We've seen some ducks that are hitting this one spot. The water got high and gotten out of the banks in the field. And there's just one little hole that's holding a bunch of teal. And one of our favorite hunts from last year was we just went and broke off a bunch of coffee bean, stuck it in front of us, and squatted, took a knee in our waders, and just killed our limit of teal and went home.
Get 18 together.
And
we'll get where we gotta get and kill him. How we
Jo-
gotta kill
hey,
him.
Josh and
Cole
Devin-
called me
Josh and
last
Devin.
year.
Now, I knew they
Cole-
were about to bring this up.
Cole called me
I knew they
last-
were about to bring this
Cole
up.
called me last year and he said, "Hey," he said, "this is the only spot we got ducks." I said, "Well, we'll figure it out." It's a rice field, had
never been there. in my
rice
life.
levies.
Didn't know where I was
I've,
going.
I've
Let me
seen
start
it.
there.
I've seen it. First off, when you get out of the truck, you're already covered in mud before you get your waders on because it's so bad out
Was
there.
that the night I drove in and slept in my truck?
No.
We had
That's
customers,
another
some
night.
of my customers and Josh's customers.
Yeah,
and I was
that's
out of
right.
town,
We,
and I
uh,
said, Josh, you got to help me out.
Well, we
Yeah, that's right.
He called me one night. He said, "I don't know how we're gonna hide." I said,
I
"Cole,
know
I
what
got
story they're talking about.
I said, "I don't know how we're gonna hide, but I got a boat motor cover that's got netting, army netting on it." I said, "I'll cut a hole out for the head, and we cut some armholes out, and we'll just go get in the middle of that rice field." And I cut them out, and I went.
We
went
had
over
4
there.
decoys, didn't we?
I had-
scrounge up
so I-
decoys.
So working
All
for
that
Avery,
play.
I'm fortunate enough to have a bunch of sample decoys. Well, I had a pintail, a black duck, a widgeon.
a speck.
I had a full body speck, and I had one more. I don't remember what it was. I told him, I said I had 5 decoys. They don't even have weights. And sometime between then and daylight, that only got called off. But that's the kind of things we'll go do to hunt a duck.
That ain't even a
And it's-
story Cole was scared me.
No,
to
I
do.
thought you.
We
talking
had a-
about that
we had
was the
another-
day
we had
got called
another-
when
yeah.
Dawnbreakers. That was like-
So it starts. So there I was. Cole was out of town,
I
and
called.
he calls me. He's like, "Hey, we got a bunch of people to go hunting in the morning. You want to come go?" I said,
8
"Yeah."
guys.
Yeah, I was
6 or 8 guys. In
Yeah, I was
the
like,
thing.
"Yeah,
Mine.
I'm always game." He said, "Well, come help me in this, that, and the other." So we get there. I forgot ammo box or something. We're halfway down the levee. I have to turn around and go back. And I'm coming back. My sun's kind of coming up, and it's getting a little brighter. And I look down there, and it's a long walk from where you park the bike to this pit. And I look, and I can see kind of through the dark that everybody's standing up. And I hear, "Well, it's full." You know,
Yeah.
where was that guy from?
So
Ohio.
the
Ohio,
guy
the guy
who
from
hunted this was
Ohio.
Mo, and I was with my dog, and I was the last
said,
one
"This
making
can't be
sure everybody
good."
made it. And I see the same thing he sees, and Cole said we're good to go hunting. Hey,
I knew there was ducks in this
It's
field. I
good.
said, "You gonna kill them?"
Hey, he said we're good, and I hear Joe. He's up there, and he said,
Now, you were in front of me.
"Well, boys, she's full." And I'm like, "He
oh.
just said she's full."
Is he quoting, what is it, Christmas Vacation?
And so I get up a little closer. I get up a little closer, and I hear somebody say, "Yeah, she's full of water." And I said, "Oh Lord!" And then I see this guy's from Ohio, never hunting a pit. They don't duck hunt much at
He's
all.
trying to figure out how to get
This
in
is,
it.
like Rusty said, these are some of times these guys are going to duck hunt.
Right.
We got to make the best of it.
Hey, don't you
no,
leave
no,
out
no,
this part
no.
of the story.
So he goes to get the pit, and I'm like, whoa, that thing go over your head in water. And he
I'm
said,
still
what do you
coming
mean?
down
I
the
said,
levee when all this is
that's
happening.
60 inches deep. He said, oh. He said, well, we can just lay right here. And Devin's
I'm
right
still
there.
coming down the levee.
He's helping.
I see Josh coming back down the levee.
I got a dog. And
Yeah.
I've been doing it. I've been up there
I said,
grinding
I
this
said,
mud.
what's up? He said, it's full of water. He said, I ain't hunting. He said, you can try it if you want. And I get down there. So he's supposed to be the guide. He's already left these guys, didn't say nothing. He's on the phone with him. And these guys are looking at me.
He's asking me if we can go somewhere else, and I'm like, no,
No, you
just
don't-
stay there.
Yeah. So
And
I had
these
a
guys
dog.
look at
So
me
I
like,
knew.
well, will you call for us? Will you guys like,
I had a
let's try
dog.
it. I don't know.
I take a dog with me every time, so I knew if I had that dog out there, we wasn't gonna kill nothing without him being in a box. So I said, I'm gonna go to the ranger. You sit here and hunt with him.
It was
and I'm gonna
terrible.
walk around the field.
I got in the dog box, and I was on my knees in the dog box with water in my waiter pocket, and I had them laying on the pit line on their back like this.
Tell me y'all killed some.
We
Yeah, ended
did.
up killing
We got 'em.
23.
We got them.
23?
Hey, I
That's
started
awesome.
calling these ducks. Started coming. These guys I couldn't believe it. I'm not
Josh
gonna lie.
killed his limit from the
I
range.
killed my limit from the bank that morning.
Walking
From the
around,
ranger.
Walking around on the bank.
we would shoot at ducks, and they'd
They
start
would've killed
flying
40
out,
probably if
and
they
they'd,
were blind,
they'd be
but-
in that I doubt it zone, you know.
I'd go and
And Josh would shoot, and you'd see.
usually it was a double tap.
I double tap.
So I'm still lost on the first story. You had all these different
We didn't go.
decoys. No. What call was you gonna blow? Was you gonna blow a spec call? Was you gonna
All
blow
of
a
them.
No,
whistle?
we probably weren't gonna blow any call because they were coming in there just.
It was so thick. And
It- It was all teal, every one of them, and they've been sitting there for a week.
Oh,
I ain't gonna blame it on Jeff, but it may have been the morning Jeff called us.
He pulled rank on us that morning.
He did.
Yeah, he
He
pulled
pulled
rank.
rank.
Oh, that's when we went. That's when we went up there at home.
We had a SmackDown hunt planned. Oh
If
God.
farmer said a lot of ducks out here.
Well, I knew it. I sent Josh that text. I said, we in
Yeah.
trouble.
But
Oh,
we
yeah.
went. We got to go and
How many
saw
we
somewhere
killed?
different. I
One,
think we
two?
killed two.
I think
I
we
think they killed one.
Oh yeah, that's right. We were in a different
And,
blind.
One of them was Spoonie and a snow goose hunt.
Is when we showed
No,
up.
we shot a green.
You know, when you show up in the field, you can't even hear geese out there. In the dark, you're just like, ooh.
No, it's breaking day and there ain't a duck in the sky, and I'm like, I start cringing because I knew where we were going, and I'd been watching it for a while.
I had those suits, man. I ruined a dang good boat motor cover. But I did it. We didn't have a ghillie suit, so I had. Wasn't gonna hide ourselves.
No, we didn't care. There's one of them hunts where you like, I don't care if I get wet, anything, we're gonna kill them, we're gonna be out of there quick. But listen,
Talking about what call you gonna blow. Give us a little bit about what calls you do blow and why and when. How killing ducks when. Give a
Go
little
ahead, I'll
strategy over
let
here.
me start.
Yeah, let you start.
Man, I'm in the timber, so I don't have to be as loud as these guys. But I like being able to get loud, so I blow up.
Are you listening to this, Devin?
I hear you.
Echo, ECHO. Echo breaker, acrylic. And I kind of blow it like a cut down. I kind of bark it on the top, and
He's got a cow call too.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
they
ring
said.
a bell.
Yeah, ring a bell.
Yeah,
He just
something like
rings a
that.
dinner bell.
But
That's why he got all them bands. He just
That's right.
jingles it and they come.
I knew the bands would come up. But yeah, Rick Dunn has told me forever, if a duck's doing what you want him to do, don't call.
Yep.
I
agree
love
with
the
that.
feed call. I love to. Anybody's watched all the stuff. I love to blow my call. But again, if he's doing what you want him to do, you don't have to call nothing fancy. But you definitely got to get his attention and keep it. Talking about, y'all can elaborate on this. Public ground versus private ground. I call them different than what y'all would on public. I got a buddy. The first time he helped me, man, you don't short swing my ducks. Like, I'm gonna let those ducks go out there, and I know where I'm fixing to hit them at.
Yeah.
He was a public hunter.
Yeah, he's used to keeping them on a tight
Yes,
leash. Yeah.
yes. So I'm letting my ducks. I ain't even thinking about hitting them for that last turn yet, and he blows his call, and I kind of give him a bad look, and they come back. Of course, didn't give him enough room, so I let him go again. He calls again, and I look over, I'm like, man, don't. He's so used to having
Yeah.
people hunting by him that he was
You
trying to
can't
keep
let him
them,
have
get
to.
that big swing.
keep them right there
They
close.
make a
where-
big swing, they're gone.
That's right.
On public
Where,
ground.
where if it's their last pass, I'm gonna let them go out there about 100, 150 yards, and I'm fixing to hit them as hard as I can. And if
Get that one to line up.
If she'll throw her tail around and come back, usually she's got her feet out, and the rest is history. What about y'all?
Well, I cannot emphasize that I agree with you. Ducks doing what you want them to do. It's like a turkey. If a turkey's coming, don't call.
That's right.
You know, ducks the same way. If ducks coming, there's no sense calling at him. But I like to be more aggressive. I like a louder style call. I blow a cut down style call in the fields. I believe that a duck is a duck and a duck call is a duck call. You can blow your type of duck call anywhere you go hunting, up and down the flyway. Doesn't matter if you're hunting minnow ponds, fields, timber, and I believe you can do the exact same thing with a cut down style call. And I blow one. I got one duck call on my lanyard. That's it. I got one of my duck calls, cut down call on a lanyard. And if we're in a field, I got a spec call, and that's it. But I like a high pitched feed. I love a feed call more on a cut down. I like that high pitch. But there's nobody can argue with your results and countless other people's results on what would be called a standard J-frame call. It's all. You ride the horse that got you there. You do what you're used to. And we started blowing cut downs, Josh and I've made him several. And I made Cole and Kyle both one now as well. Hunting public woods when we're trying to be more aggressive and you're trying to keep those ducks on a tighter leash. And you're telling them, hey, don't go over there. I need you to turn right now. I need your immediate attention. And that's when we blow louder duck calls. And it still works, And even in a field, I'll keep a duck on a tighter leash than, say, maybe Josh will. I just like to work ducks on a tighter leash while they're working. When I can tell, hey, okay, that pass was a good one, they're probably about to do it, I will let them get a little more space. And that way on that last one, you give them more room to get in. But when they're just spinning, I like to keep them tight. I really do. Until they get down there in that, what I call that maybe zone. Well, maybe this is it. Everybody said that. Hey, maybe this is it. Here they come.
That's
when gun starts. Yeah. Oh God, we've said that 100 million times.
That's that pass that you do the single cuts on, and you're like, oh, should I have done that?
Yeah, we might.
Then you give them that next pass, and you don't single cut, and you're like, God, I should have single cut that time.
Yeah. But yeah, and like I said on that, I mean, it's again, and we're fortunate enough. You're fortunate enough. All of us in this room are fortunate enough to learn how to call ducks by seeing a lot of ducks. To learn how to call ducks and call ducks well, you got to be under a lot of, because you're going to mess way more up than you call in. I don't care who you are. I mean, you're going to, especially while you're trying to figure it all out. And because you're going to call the wrong time, you're going to let them get a little loose. You're going to miss it, and instead of when they need to kind of turn back to the left, they're going to turn right, and that's going to be it. They're going to be out of there.
Give me a little scenario of see the duck to when he's in the decoys, kind of what you expect or how you would get him in the decoys.
Well, like I've got to hunt some really nice, awesome private woods up close to Rusty, and private woods all over the state of Arkansas as well as public. If a duck's on the woods, I never get crazy with him, because ultimately they're looking to get down. You're just wanting to just kind of something heavy, not necessarily loud, but a lot of times, you're looking out and a duck's 100 yards either side of you or out in front of you, and you're just trying to get his attention.
Get him to come over you.
That's it. You're just trying to drag him over your hole and let him take a look. And ultimately, he's going to do what he wants to do. You're going to let him look at it and say, all right, that looks like a good spot. And you're going to try to convince him you're a real duck's down there. But I'm seeing more and more, especially last year, ducks finishing on a call and not decoys. More and more now, I'm seeing. Last year it was really bad. If you were quacking a little bit, the ducks would overshoot the decoys and try to come down right here on top of you. But I never like to let a duck get outside 100. I mean, regardless, if you're hunting a private hole in the woods, I don't like him to get hardly anywhere, as long as you can keep him spinning.
That's right.
Especially, again, if you hunted, public hole, in public land, once you get a feel of who's around you, where you can let that duck get more loose at. All right, so if I've got a group over here, I cannot let that duck get loose over here. But if there's not a group this way, I can let him get a little more loose over here and kind of try to, you set up and maybe try to get him on a quarter in wind. Say, all right, this is the path. I'm going to start trying to set him. So the wind's coming from maybe this way. We're going to try to get him in a quarter more so. It's different every time. I don't know.
Circumstantial.
Yeah, it's a loaded
you got to
question.
read the ducks. I mean, I'm 41, and I still love to sit and watch a field full of ducks when they're going to roost or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
And just listen and watch.
You learn.
That's how I learned a lot of my
100%.
stuff.
I'll sit out there and he can vouch
I'd
for
say
it.
Josh scouts ducks as much as anybody.
I'll go-
And
I'll
I
go
love
in
to
the
do it
morning.
too, but he's a big scout.
I'll go before duck season, start watching ducks, seeing what they're doing early season, and I'll go, in the split, and I'll see what they're doing, where they're at, how they're reacting, what time they're leaving, when they're coming back, and are they flying over the top, landing on the outside, or are they coming pounding in the middle, all of it, and then that goes into the effect of how we set our decoys according to the wind. We move decoys every single morning at our farm, regardless if they're set up for the right wind or not.
Right.
We're gonna move them, spread them out, pull them in tight. We're gonna throw them something different. We're moving 300 or 400.
Maybe more than one time in the morning too.
We're moving 300 or 400 every morning. It's just kind of what we play into.
I'd pick that many up every day. If we could get everybody to bite into it,
It's
I'd
not.
pick them up every
It's
day.
not the pit blind hunting that
I could do it.
some people say I do it because it's easy,
No.
and I'm gonna go out there and show up at shooting time, getting a blind and hunt. I'm just not that kind of person. I can't.
So that's that scenario on the ducks that are just loafing kind of treetop. But man, there's something about those days when you got a hard north wind
They're
and you're
traveling.
catching a new push.
Oh yeah.
You can blow, and I love to blow a call. And I know
that's-
all of us in here do. But man, when you start barking at them and you stay on them and you stay on them and they're going against the wind or whatever, and they go, and you just barking and you're red in the face, and all of a sudden they go back downwind.
Yeah, one drops
So-
out.
All right, and then we're all go from barking to we're quacking. We're doing little low cadences, and they're setting their wings. And that right for a duck caller, to me,
There's nothing better.
that's as good as it gets when you break them down from way
I'm
high.
glad you circled back to that. But yeah, there's no
And
doubt.
kind of when we used to roll through the woods a good bit, especially on public ground. We didn't do it on private ground because you can take 2 people, you can take 10. It doesn't matter. But when we went public ground, we usually took
We took a
10,
entourage,
15.
man.
You had to.
We've hunted
Yeah.
17 or 18 because the more noise we could make in one hole, the better off we were going to be, and it didn't matter. If a guy set up 50 yards from
It
you,
didn't matter.
bad luck for him.
Yeah, I know guys that would,
We've
but-
had those guys come hunt with us. I don't mind you come hunt with me. Just come
Yeah.
on.
or beat you, or you may have 2 guys beat you to the same hole, and they don't kill ducks because there was 2 people. But
Right,
then
yeah.
you go in there with 10 guys that can call,
That's
and
right.
it's a whole different deal.
And a lot of times, and this we won't get off into this, but if you approach that in public land, in my experience, if you approach that guy, sometimes tensions are high, but if you approach that guy with the right attitude, or if they approach you the same way, I mean, you can usually work something
Yeah.
out.
Well, and my motto is hunting's a sport, man. And the sport isn't beating you or beating him or me beating somebody else in the woods. It's beating what we're pursuing. If we can all remember that, we're all, it's meant to be fun. The bickering, and I think it's worse now. People say that hunting's worse now. I don't think so. I think it's not any more crowded because I hear, I've had older gentlemen that have hunted a long time ago say it's really not any more crowded. You just see more of the bickering and
The
fighting
respect.
Right.
because social media. We're in a social media driven age, and
Need a little more of that old school stuff.
yeah,
And respect. I
Re-
mean,
yeah.
You respect that guy over there, he's probably going to respect you.
And,
When
but I
he's
mean,
on,
at the end of the day,
he's not.
we do it. We love to shoot them. Don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
but you look at the numbers of ducks that we kill versus the ones that we provide habitat for and food, and spend X amount of dollars after season to put some corn out, so they'll have a good trip back north.
Yep.
I mean, we're the ultimate conservationists. We don't. I mean, yeah, we love to shoot them, but I mean, we care about
We
them
like to
too
take care of
at the
'em, too.
same point.
100%
Absolutely.
agree.
But
I sure be sad if they just vanish
I
tomorrow.
guarantee you, and broke. I'd be
Yeah.
broke.
I would too.
That's true.
I do remember.
I think all of us kind of would be.
Yeah, that's fact.
Hey, that's crazy you think about it. We all have, every one of our jobs depends on a duck.
That's right. That's right.
It's
Thankful
crazy.
for them.
Yeah,
He's super thankful
very
for it.
beyond blessed for sure.
Fellas, I've learned a lot sitting here listening to y'all. I, consider myself a good duck hunter, but not on the level of these men. So I appreciate y'all's time here, and I'm sure, like Rusty mentioning earlier when Beckham was talking about the farming up north, he learned something, something he hadn't thought about necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody can learn from everybody, and if you're in the public woods, private land, we can all respect each other and have a good time hunting. But we talk about social media and what everybody sees now. It's more available to people, and to see what the successes and the failures, and some people are putting out the wrong messages, and we want to correct that and have everybody cherish this sport and what we do, and help each other in it. But
we got enough people against us that we don't need to fight amongst ourselves. We all got to be on the same page, because it's close, y'all. There's people that'd love to see the sport go away and hunting and all go away. So we all got to be on the same page.
That's right. And then talking about social media, where can people that maybe not follow you guys, where can they find you and what you do more?
Rusty Creasey on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook friend list is full. We're going to have to redo that, but mainly Instagram. And shoot, man, if you send me a message, if I can help you give a little bit of advice, I'll be glad to. It may take me a day or two, but yeah, I love to visit with hunters and help them, and I love to see the pics and the whole deal. So
Mine's Singleton Game Calls on Instagram. Facebook, I keep it more family, friend related. Devin Singleton on there. You're welcome to shoot me a message. Coming soon, 1st of August, probably sometime, launching. Website, singletongamecalls.com. It'll have all my contact info, all of that on there. I'm an open book. Again, I'm just like Rusty. I answer text messages, phone calls all the time for people I've never met that I may never meet. Just love talking hunting with people, man.
That's right.
You realize when you get to talking to people how much you have in common with other folks out there, and there's great people in this world, and I'm just a people lover. God put me on this earth to love people, and we're going to do our best at it. So.
You're right there.
That's right.
You're right there.
I have Instagram and Facebook. You can find me at Josh Beckham on Facebook and Beckham Josh on Instagram. If you ever got any questions, gear, decoys, brush, ducks, reports, whatever, it doesn't matter. I'm an open book. I talk to people every day. That's my job. I sell Bandit and Avery, so if you ever got any questions on our products, shoot me a message. I'll be glad to answer it.
I'd say the same thing, man. We got 5 of us sitting right here, and I mean, we go from Realtree and Simmons to Bandit and Avery to Singleton Game Calls to Echo Game Calls to Kyle with Realtree and Simmons, and we're all super thankful for who we work for and what we get to do, and it is something that we cherish. And you go back to, our livelihood and our families, which I would agree that everybody here is married and has a family, and that is the most important thing. And we just thank the Lord for that and this opportunity to get to do this. But a duck helps us make a living, a duck and a deer. And who would have ever thought it when you're growing up as a kid? So we're thankful for that, and we don't take it for granted, because like you said, man, we're a lockdown short of not having a job or losing out on a lot of things. So we do need to be thankful for that. But we do appreciate y'all listening to this, and ultimately, if it wasn't for Simmons Sporting Goods and what they do for us, then this wouldn't be possible. And we got a lot of other sponsors involved in that, from Realtree to Bandit to Browning Guns and Ammo to Avery Decoys to several other, if I'm leaving off. But we try to help a lot of different partners out there.
That's right. And if you're listening and can't get a hold of or find us on any of our pages we just mentioned, you can always send Simmons Sporting Goods a message about this podcast, episode number 3, talking about ducks, and if it's not us that can answer the question, there's some knowledgeable people that can, or they'll send a message to us, and we'll get with you. If you get a chance, definitely come by the store, come see all the cool brands and the cool new products and things that Simmons is selling. It's not just your average box store that has junk in there. It has the top quality brands, the stuff that real hunters want to use, and that'll make you a better hunt. So get a chance, family-owned company. Come by, see everybody. We'll treat you right. Thank everybody for listening. I don't know if any of these guys have one last thing to say. I'll leave the floor open to them. But
I appreciate you inviting me, letting me be a part of it.
Yeah.
Again, if I had to leave somebody with something, it's don't be that guy. Social media, everything revolves around it now. So Don't be that guy that says something negative. If you
Yep.
type something negative, hit delete. If you can't say something nice, don't say nothing at all.
That's it.
Yeah, appreciate you guys, Rusty. I've enjoyed it as always. Always good to catch up. And social media is a great tool. It's something that's here. It's here to stay in today's world, and it's a great way to keep up and catch up and learn and do all the things. But I reiterate what Rusty said. Man, there's too much good in the world to bicker about the small things we do. Appreciate your fellow man. Treat him right, he'll treat you right, and man, we'll all live a better life and leave it better than we found it.